Just wanted to share my favorite purchase, my best purchase of 2023, which is the Kindle Paperwhite. Never thought I would love it or use it as much as I have been, but I have. I only got this at the end of December. No, actually the end of November for Cyber Monday. Got it for like 90-ish bucks, which is a better deal than I saw like the entire year. And scoop this up. This one does come with the lock screen ads, which I didn't feel like paying extra for it. And maybe I thought maybe it would recommend me some good books that I should read next. So I opted for the ads. Let me just share with you what I read in that last month of 2023. So started off on a bad foot with The Red Queen. This one was probably everything I hate about YA fiction rolled into one book. It was just so cliche. Hated it, gave it 1 star. But the next book I loved, and this is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. For context, I would say my favorite author, my favorite fantasy author, my favorite series is by Robin Hobb, and I've been reading her since probably the early 2000s. So I like more realism. I like something a little more gritty, a little more grounded, and this fit the bill. Loved it, and will definitely be continuing the rest of this series and the rest of his books. I already have them all requested on hold from my library on my Libby app, which is how I grab books for my Kindle. I haven't actually bought any books off of Amazon yet. But anyway, yeah, the next book was The Priory of the Orange Tree. Saw lots of people recommending it. Didn't read anything going into it. Didn't want to get spoiled. But yeah, I hated this book. I thought it was super slow. And it's not the page count because some of the other books on my list, they're long. But this one, the pacing was just so slow, so off. I mean, 90% of the book just was a drag. And then the last couple of chapters, everything was like super sped up. And the conclusion was so unsatisfying. I didn't feel like it was deserved. I didn't really enjoy the characters. Even the relationships I didn't think had been built up, or I don't know, like the main character has this relationship with this other character. I won't say who it is in case that's a spoiler, but I felt like she had more of a connection with this other side character, Margaret, than she ever did with the character who she ends up with. Didn't really care for the characters, didn't enjoy the story at all. Next book is Prince of Thorns. This is like emo in a book. Might continue it, maybe not, depends how I'm feeling, but wasn't such a fan of this. Red Rising, this was like a quick read. I think it's a trilogy, but there might be more books to this series, but I'm going to stop with the 3. This one, if you like Maze Runner, you'd probably like this. This is more YA type. I would say like a YA category type of book, even though I don't think it's marketed as YA, but definitely YA for me. Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This is okay. I can see this being sort of a TV series, kind of like, reminded me of Heroes, a TV series, if you've ever seen that. This is okay. Might read more by this author. Jade City was a surprise. I don't usually like urban fiction. I don't like contemporary fiction. I don't like fantasy that typically takes place in modern times. I generally go for the stereotypical European-inspired medieval times fantasy, but this was really good. The characters were interesting. The world building I enjoyed. I would continue with this. This one, The Adventures of Amina al-Sirarfi. I didn't read any reviews, or I didn't even read the synopsis for this, but I knew that a lot of people had this on their best of lists. So I picked this one up. At first, I wasn't sure what this was. I mean, obviously it's a pirate story about a woman, but the tone, the way the characters acted, just seemed, I was trying to figure out what it was, and in the end, I decided, if you remember the TV series back in the day, Hercules and Xena, like those 2 shows, this is basically like that if it was a pirate book. The tone, the way the characters act, not quite as historically accurate kind of like modern people, but in a old-timey setting. This is it. That's what I would describe it as. Once you get on board with that type of humor, that type of action adventure setting, you would enjoy this. It was okay. I think there's another book in the series. I might continue with that, but not as great as it was hyped up to be, but maybe that's because people set the bar too high, and I don't know. But yeah, I enjoyed that. It was okay. Let me see what's on my Kindle. Okay. So yeah, like the lock screen ads, I appreciate it. This one I definitely will be reading because it's Joe Abercrombie. So if I hadn't had that on my list, it is definitely on my list now. Let's see. What's in my book? So, what's in my Kindle? So right now I'm reading The Lies of Locke Lamora. I'm kind of struggling with this. I enjoyed the first section where the main character, Locke Lamora, is a child and he's like a scrappy little kid. I enjoyed that, but once he goes into adulthood, I don't know, like all the characteristics I enjoyed in him as a kid become kind of annoying as an adult. I have some Brandon Sanderson books on my Kindle and also on my holds list. I have to admit, he is, I don't know, I had a bad first impression of him. One of the first books, the only book I've ever read by him was called Elantris, and I thought that was super, super slow. So I haven't tried any of his other books since then, but I think I read somewhere that was his first book, so maybe he's gotten better over time. But yeah, so I have this one, which a lot of people are loving or do love, so I want to give that a try, The Way of Kings. I also have Fourth Wing, which I do not have high hopes for. I think this is more YA fantasy, which I don't really enjoy. I have She Who Became the Sun, The Last Tale of the Flower Bride, Babel or Babel, however you want to pronounce it. I have Malice by John Gwynne. I have The Spear Cuts Through Water and Hyperion, which I think might be sci-fi, I'm not sure. And let's go to my Libby. On my hold shelf, I have The Will of the Many, The Three-Body Problem, the next book in that emo series I told you about, Sarah J. Maas, Before They Are Hanged, Grace of Kings, Last Argument of Kings, Starling House, The Only One Left, another Sanderson book, The Shadow of the Gods, A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I probably will not enjoy. I have a feeling. The Deep Sky, Jade War, another V.E. Schwab book, The Bone Shard Daughter, and Jade Legacy, and that's about it. So yeah, that's my TBR list for the next couple of months or so. Hopefully I'll get through most of these books or some of these books. Yeah, so that is my Kindle. That's what's on my Kindle. That's what's been on my Kindle. That's what will be on my Kindle for the next couple of months. So yeah, best purchase of 2023. Highly recommend. Go get you one.